All right, Q&A. We are here for it. You'll notice the background's a little bit different. We're upstairs, which is why I have really nice lighting because I have a giant window right in front of me. Because my kids are all playing outside. And might mean that we get interrupted, but it'll be fine. Speak of the devil. Okay, so our two questions for today are, what do you think of Nanowrimo? Worth it? So question number one. And then question number two, have you ever gotten reader's block? Not right now, a little bit busy. Have you ever gotten reader's block? And what do you think of Nanowrimo? So let's start with the first question. So Nanowrimo, for those of you who do not know, is National Novel Writers Month. November is a Nanowrimo. I have done it successfully twice. I have attempted it like 8 times. I feel like if you're in a rut, it can be really advantageous to do Nanowrimo because it can have some really good energy around it in terms of like having a community of a whole bunch of other people that are also trying to like hit word counts, like, and also have Thanksgiving dinner and like all the things. I don't think November personally is like the best choice. I think it was picked because it starts with an N. But then again, I feel like January or February would actually be a really good month to do some kind of like NaNoWriMo, I don't know, type event, because I feel like those months don't quite have as much going on in them. But I think it can be worth it. I know there was some drama around Nanowrimo last year. I don't know what it was. I don't know. It was like all this scandal. I don't know what it was. But I think it can be worth it if you are feeling like particularly stuck, or you're feeling like you're just kind of lacking motivation, or if you're like, okay, I know what I need to do and I just need some accountability. It can be a really good way to find accountability. If the goal is to have a pristine and perfect finished novel by the end, I think you're just going to kill yourself. But if the goal is to write and get 50,000 words onto a page, so at least you are 50,000 words further into said novel than you were at the beginning, I think it can be totally valuable. So have you ever gotten reader's block? Yes. So we all hear about writer's block, right? This idea of like, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to... I've written myself into a corner. I don't know where to go, or like I just sit there and I just stare at the blank page, at the computer screen, whatever it is. Reader's block, I feel like, is when you just can't quite get into anything. Like you keep picking up books to read and nothing is quite hitting the way you want it to. There's one of two ways to deal with reader's block for me personally. The first way is just being like, okay, I am going to pick this book and I have to read X number of pages, 100 pages, 75 pages, 50 pages, 3 chapters, right? I just pick a number. Like I have to read at least this much before I decide I'm actually not in the mood for this book. Because sometimes it takes a little while for a book to like suck you in. Especially if it's high fantasy, where they're like, listen, I have a lot of world building I need to establish in order for the story to work. So you're just going to have to kind of like buckle in and suck it up and it'll be okay. Not all stories drag us in like in the first second. And some of the very best stories, my very favorite stories that I've ever read, did not necessarily grab me with that first sentence, right? Everybody talks about how the hook, that first sentence has got to be so good. It's got to be so good. I am not of that opinion. I'm sure there are people that are reading my book and be like, yeah, I can tell. But I'm of the opinion that a good story is a good story. And sometimes, as with real life, you got to be patient and you got to let it grow. I'm also a big fan of words. I really, really enjoy writers like Tolkien. I know some people, like, they love the movies, but they can't do the books because the books, like, I don't need to see what a hobbit's foot looks like. I don't need you to explain every single branch and leaf on Treebeard. I like words and I don't mind them to take a long time if I'm not reading under a deadline. If I'm reading under a deadline, then I'm like, oh my gosh, get to the point. But if I get to just enjoy the story and read it and take my time, then I actually really enjoy having a story take its time. So that's the first rule, is that's the first way. Either read X amount of pages, X amount of chapters, whatever it is that I'm feeling like is going to be useful to be like, okay, let me give this story a chance, because obviously my mood is going to be wishy-washy. The other thing is, sometimes if I have a story that's been bothering me, if I have characters that have been talking to me, we're getting more interviews. Just a minute. If I have characters that have been talking to me, then I struggle to read other people's stuff because I can't get them to shut up in my head. And so the actual answer to my reader's block is actually writing, and like getting that story out or getting those thoughts out, whatever it is, and like brain dumping. And then I can actually pick up a good book. The other, I'll add on a bonus third, is sometimes one of the things that I will do to get over reader's block is I'll just revisit an old favorite. You know, I'll just pick up The Hobbit. I'll just pick up Harry Potter. I'll just pick up The Two Princesses of Bamar. Something I already know that I like, kind of like how we have like comfort shows. I'll pick something that I already know that I like, just to kind of get into the reading and then be like, oh, I really wanted to read this book. And then I'm more likely to be able to read it. You're welcome for the various interruptions and my random snapping. Yeah, so see you next week.